I want to talk about Cam Heyward because he wasn't selected to the Pro Bowl, though he was, but as an alternative, that doesn't count. He wasn't selected to the NFLPA's All-Pro team, and then he wasn't selected to the AP's All-Pro team. And then he had this to say about it. He dropped in, respect to those guys, but man, seems like a lot of goalposts move to make arguments these days. I guess back to the lab. I never expected Cam Heyward to take a shot. It wasn't a good shot. I got to give him that. It was a bad tweet. But for a guy who's up
he could
for
be a
Walter
little petty.
Yeah, like he's allowed to be angry. He's allowed to be a little bit. He's just like, it was a classic Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, like petty tweet of just like, like, hey man, like I probably should have won that, but whatever. I respect everybody's opinion. Do you think that he deserved an All-Pro selection? Do you think he deserved a Pro Bowl?
I think with the way that Heyward finished the season, he certainly deserved to be in that conversation. It's kind of weird because the interior defensive line position as a whole this year, it was really freaking good, which is kind of wild because Aaron Donald didn't really play. So, like, I'm sure that you guys noticed that he didn't have his normal spot on the first team All-Pro list. But he was, Chris Jones, I looked at some of his numbers last night.
Yeah, Chris Jones was nuts. Like, I compared all of them when I wrote the article about Cam's tweet, and I was just like, I didn't realize Chris Jones was just a monster this year.
It was absurd. I mean, how freaking great he was this year. I mean, one of the best closers in football, bar none. Should he have made it? I think the two guys that I think that they got right was Dexter Lawrence and Chris Jones. I think that those two guys deserve to be on first, second team, like without a doubt.
Dexter Lawrence, huh?
Yeah, dude. What Lawrence did this year, for a Giants team that had no playoff odds or no playoff hopes, he was the man. And I really thought that what he's able to do, like from a nose tackle spot, you just don't see that type of pass rush productivity.
That's true. That's very true.
That's just very rare to get. And like he had a breakout season. I think he deserved that. Quinnen Williams, you look at what the Jets defense did this year. He's the guy in their front seven. So I thought he deserved that. I probably, and this is just me, I would have liked to have seen Heyward get it over Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes.
But there were other guys in that conversation. Javon Hargrave, former Steeler, that I thought made some sense in that conversation too. But it was loaded. I think I just think Cam's really slow start really hurt them. It really hurt him in the eyes of voters. I was hoping that, with the way that he finished the year, that he would probably get some recognition, especially since he is a bigger name. But I do have a Cam Heyward stat that I thought was interesting, just to show kind of his value. I think a lot of people credited TJ Watt with the Steelers' second half turnaround on defense, and that's perfectly fine. That had a big to do with their turnaround. But with Cam Heyward on the field this year, the Steelers' EPA per play was negative 0.16, and with him off the field, they were at 0.1. So basically what that means is with Cam Heyward on the field, the Steelers were like the third or fourth best defense in football. With Cam Heyward off the field, they were like 21st or 22nd. So that type of stuff gives you an idea of like his value.
Yeah, that brings up a very good conversation though, because as we sit right here, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to walk into 2023 with just Cam Heyward. Like, it's just Cam Heyward. And then Isaiah Loudermilk, DeMarvin Leal, and I don't know, Montravius Adams, I believe, is still under contract, or maybe a restricted free agent.
Yeah, I think it was a 1-year deal that he signed. I'm pretty
sure. But you got to get somebody, and somebody big. Like, there's no more, you can't waste time on the defensive line. You walk in there with that and just Cam Heyward, and you might as well have just done nothing, because that's a huge need.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see what they do at interior defensive line. Like I'm lukewarm on Ogunjobi. I don't know.
I don't think he comes back. And I don't know if you're signing him for much. Like, you're not going to sign him another $8 million deal.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like
No,
he did not.
He didn't play that way
like that this season.
hmm
Ogunjobi, what is interesting, he finished the year with his best game of the season, or like one of his best games as a pass rusher, which was kind of interesting. He had 8 pressures against Cleveland. But yeah, he was really quiet. I mean, over the course of the year, just not probably as productive as you would need for a player that you're going to spend like 8 million of your cap on. And,
exactly.
I think some of that for sure was some of that definitely had to do with his health. I mean, he didn't practice all season. Like,
Dude,
I mean,
he literally
how many
didn't
times did he
practice.
practice?
He didn't practice. He literally did not practice for 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
Like, didn't touch the field one time, and then would just walk into the game and be like, "Yeah, we're good to go, man."
Yeah.
I tell Madrid it is what it is.
If the number's lower than like 8 million, then I don't have. It's not that like I'm saying like you can't bring it back. He can't be the starter next to Cam. It's really
I think
just
he could.
But it can't be anywhere near that like $8 million figure, especially given how just I don't know if his body's gonna hold up. He had an injury that ended, not this past season, but the year before with Cincinnati, where he was kind of having that breakout year, and then he failed the physical after he got paid. So that's another reason why like his failed physical took away a really big contract with Chicago last year. He had to settle for a 1-year deal. I don't know that he helped his value very much. Is he still looking to get paid? There's a lot of different factors in there. But yeah, the Steelers interior defensive line, like because of Leal and just the uncertainty around him, I think there's a lot of questions moving into the offseason. So I think they're going to try to invest somewhere in free agency and not try to pigeonhole themselves for the draft. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a big need and such an unspoken need. Like, everybody is talking about all the other positions that the Steelers need to attack this offseason. You walk in there without a defensive line, you're done. Like, you got nothing going for you if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially if you don't replace inside linebacker. If you walk in there with Robert Spillane and Mark Robinson as your inside linebackers, and then Cam Heyward and Isaiah Loudermilk starting on the interior defensive line, you're pretty screwed if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You just got significantly worse. I agree. I also agree that I think that he should have made the All-Pro team over Jeffrey Simmons. The numbers just don't add up. And it's not like, if you're going to go off of a storyline, yeah, the Steelers started really bad. They were a very boring football team until the end there. They were not as boring as the Titans. The Titans are possibly the worst and most boring team in football, 100%.